Welcome to the Armed with Opinion channel here on YouTube. I'm talking today about the Michael Cohen testimony this week and the repercussions of it. It's been interesting to watch this and to watch the accusations made against Donald Trump and the reaction of people to the actual revelations. And none of it's really been new, but Cohen's testimony was credible. He presented evidence, the most damning being the check of $35,000 signed by Donald Trump, which he said was the part of a payback of the hush money that was paid to him after he paid it on behalf of Donald Trump. And then the second most important thing to come out of the hearing was the information about Donald Trump having falsified his financial records in order to get loans. It's a felony. And the Southern District of New York is investigating that. And that could lead to jail time for Donald Trump once he leaves the presidency. And what this means is that there's a strong argument that he can't be indicted while he's president. But the key is that this type of bank fraud in getting loans has a 10-year statute of limitations. The incidents date back to 2014, which means that Donald Trump, if he doesn't get reelected, is subject to prosecution and, if convicted, jail time by the Southern District of New York, which is the federal court in New York. This is totally separate from the Mueller probe. So Donald Trump is in deep trouble. The third thing that came out that's really important, and we knew this already, was that Jared Kushner had over 100 changes to his security clearance report, and that Donald Trump approved this report. Donald Trump lied about this and said he had nothing to do with it. But in fact, he was not telling the truth, which is a pattern for him. And in fact, he had approved a security clearance against his security advisors. And the question becomes, of course, what was Jared Kushner involved in? We know he was meeting with the Saudis. We know he was meeting with the Kuwaitis. We know he was meeting with the Russians. What kind of activities was he involved in? And a fourth thing to come out of the testimony was the fact that, yes, Donald Trump knew about the Hillary Clinton email leaks by WikiLeaks before they occurred. He also knew about the meetings with the Russians in Trump Tower that Donald J. Trump testified that he didn't know about. In fact, Cohen talked specifically about being in the room and hearing Donald J. Trump Jr. tell his father about them. That's perjury. He testified before Congress. Donald J. Trump testified before Congress about this. He could be facing jail time. And once again, we recognize that we have a criminal enterprise. We have a gangsta president. And I'm spelling that the way the kids do. Gangsta, a gangster. I mean, it's not Tony Soprano, because Tony Soprano is smarter than Donald Trump. More like the Godfather. It's more like the Godfather. It's a shame, but it's true. And the question becomes, what will the American people do about it? Will they pressure their House of Representative members to bring articles of impeachment? And if they accomplish that, then pressure their senators to convict? Or do we have to wait to 2020 to throw all of the bums out? That is the major question before the American people. What do I think we should do? Agitate, agitate, agitate to demand that our representatives impeach Donald Trump. Trump's crimes are worse than those of Richard Nixon. And the parallels between Richard Nixon, whose administration I remember very, very clearly, with the Boy Scouts, I was at the initial inauguration on January 20th, 1969. Couldn't stand him. I had signed up expecting Bobby Kennedy to be president, but he was killed. He was assassinated by Sirhan Sirhan. The Trump administration needs to be removed from office before they do a great deal more damage. We have been damaged by this administration. Let's make it clear. We have been damaged, and the damage, to some extent, is permanent. Some of it less permanent. I think we can most easily recover from the damage done to the presidency by bringing in a president with integrity. Jimmy Carter did that for us back in 1976, with the election in 1976, after President Nixon resigned in disgrace. That can happen. Our foreign relations around the world, our relationship with our allies and with other countries around the world has been tarnished, and that's going to take longer to repair. So hopefully we can, over time, repair those relations. I think with the European Union, it'll take a while, but maybe not that long. But with the rest of the world, I think it's going to take longer. America's credibility has been hurt. People are asking, and I've talked to people from around the world who ask, how could America allow such a thug as Donald Trump to be president? His overt racism that Americans knew about. Americans knew about it. How could they allow this to happen? I was at my senior citizen center earlier this week, and somehow Donald Trump's name came up, and an Hispanic senior citizen said she liked Donald Trump. And I said to her, he hates black people, he hates Hispanic people, and you like him? And I just left it at that. But the ignorance of so many Americans allows this to happen. And we can look at it statistically. The 538 blog, run by Nate Silver, it formerly was affiliated with the New York Times, but is its own separate organization. It measured the education levels through surveys of people who voted for Donald Trump. And he found the one correlation among all of his supporters was not income, but it was education. And Donald Trump's supporters did not have the same levels of education as Hillary Clinton supporters. Are we saying that Donald Trump supporters are dumb? Not necessarily, but we do know that they're not as smart, not as well educated as the supporters of Hillary Clinton were. We know the same thing about Fox News, that it attracts people with poorer levels of education. This is just a fact that conservatives don't want to talk about, but what is a reality? So this is something that we must learn about and recognize when we're getting involved or being active in politics. So we must organize and get people to vote in the next election. We must choose a candidate for the Democratic Party and for the House and Senate seats who is supportive of progressive issues, the Green New Deal, or the New Green Deal, whichever way you want to call it, of dealing with the costs of education and trying to bring back in the state schools tuition-free education. When I was coming up, the City University of New York had that. I graduated from Hunter College, part of the City University of New York. it did not start charging tuition until the mid-70s. So it has been done before, it can be done. People say that how could you do this? It's been done before. They just don't know. So with that, I'm going to close by saying we need to keep our eyes focused on the ball. We've got to get this fool, and yes, I said it, this fool out of the White House with his gangsta family who has taken control of America. We have got to get them out, either by impeachment, which would be the best way. It was ridiculous watching the Republicans during the Michael Cohen testimony attacking Michael Cohen, but no one attacked the substance of what he was saying. That was very interesting to me. No one attacked the substance of what Michael Cohen was saying. The Republicans just attacked him for being a liar. And we know he's lied. But what's unusual about that? When you have a prosecution of people involved in a criminal syndicate. This is common. What is important is the credibility of his testimony. Is it substantiated by other materials, other witnesses, or pieces of fact? And clearly, Michael Cohen's testimony has been substantiated. So with that, remember, resistance is not futile, and the struggle continues. Have a good day.